Jazz, good afternoon. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Doing all right.
Awesome. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a while, so I'm glad we were able to catch you on your break from college and to talk for a few minutes. Cool. All right. Well, maybe just to start, I know a little bit about you, but I think a lot of people don't. Can you just tell a little bit more about yourself, what you like to do to kind of live, work, play, and what's going on with school now?
So I'm Chaz O'Bear, and I'm a freshman at Cal State East Bay, and I do cross-country and track. My major events are like the 15 and 5K, but on the side, I like to play a lot of basketball. It's pretty fun, and just hang out with friends and play video games and stuff like that.
Awesome. So you are a student athlete that's going to school and is competing for a good cross country program in the state of California. That's pretty neat. From high school to college, Ben.
Um, in the beginning, it was pretty tough. I mean, like with school, it wasn't too bad, but especially with running, because in high school you're running like 5Ks, but in college you have to run 8 and 10Ks. And at the beginning of the season, that was definitely pretty tough. But I think I adjusted really well. And my coach and my teammates were always there to support me and help me out and teach me how to actually race and train for that. So it was a pretty fun process, but I think I transitioned pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, do you know what you're majoring in yet in college?
Yeah, I'm majoring in kinesiology.
Very nice. Okay, so when did you start running? Did you start running cross country in high school?
Yeah, so I mean, cross country, I never really did cross country until high school, but I did track when I was in like elementary school. I was kind of just it was just because I did soccer and I liked to run, and like when we did sprints in soccer, I'd always be on top and like challenging my teammates and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, why don't I try this? And I found it to be really fun and stuck with it through late elementary school, middle school, and then through high school. So I haven't really been doing distance running for very long though. Like I was like a sprinter in elementary school, but then in middle school I trained like 3 months of the year just for track season. But then high school is when I started doing it year round and stuff.
What made you decide that you wanted to run cross country in college?
I mean, when I got into high school, I was kind of forced to do cross country because like I kind of treated it as like as training for track, just like off season training. But then I realized like I was actually pretty good at it, so I was able to get on the varsity team as a freshman in high school, and that really motivated me. And then I mean, if you're a distance runner in college, you kind of have to do cross country. Like even if your track times are way better, your coach is probably going to have you do cross country anyway. So I'm more focused on track, but I mean, cross country kind of comes with that.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier on that your coaches have done a good job and your teammates teaching you how to race and train. I don't know a lot about running cross country in college, the 8K and the 10K and the different races there. Can you say more about what are some of the things that you learned about how to race and train that were different than what you knew coming into this year?
Well, a thing that I feel like I've struggled with for a while, like especially in the mid season, is like my mentality going into races. Like I put way too much pressure on myself, especially like in the early season when I'm like, okay, I need to hit this time, and I'm focused too much on time on a cross country course when time really doesn't matter. It's more about placement. So they were just telling me like, just don't think, just go out there, run, race. Don't worry about your pace. Don't just like how to feel it out. And so like I just had to learn how to trust myself more and just go out there and do my thing, because like my instinct was right. Like I just I was able to do it without thinking. And that's what really helped me. And also like I was so like scared of the pain of a 10 and 8 and 10K because I'd only done 5Ks before. And so like that pain kind of got in my head and I was like, oh, I shouldn't feel like this right now. But in reality, it's going to hurt no matter how fast I go. So I kind of just dealt with that. I'm like, okay, if I go 5:15 pace or 5:20 pace, there's not going to be a difference in how I feel, but there's going to be a big difference in the time and placement. So
Wow. How did you how what are some of the things that you do to kind of just stop thinking about it and just to kind of go? Do you still use a watch? What are some of the things that you do to help you do that better?
So I do still use a watch because I feel like for me personally, looking at the pace is nice, but as long as I'm not like attached to it, I'm not like looking at my watch every few seconds. If I look at my watch, like if it beeps every mile and I'm looking at it, that's fine, you know. That's a really big help. But I don't know. It just took time for me because they were telling me that in the beginning of the season, and it took me a while to like actually get it down. So I don't really have a direct answer for that, but I just try to clear my mind, focus on the guy ahead of me. Oh, what really actually helped me a lot was like keeping my head up when I'm racing, like staring front instead of staring at the ground or my feet. And I don't know. That's one of my teammates told me to do that like when I was running up hills and stuff. So it helped me like even when I wasn't running up hills too. So
Mm, I like that. Um, a lot of the runners that I talk to are busy with a job, raising kids, whatever it is. You're in a different stage of life, but I would argue you're probably as busy, if not busier. Can you walk me through kind of what a day looks like when you are in cross country season? How do you train and go to classes and, still be a kid in college?
so at East Bay they're very understanding about student athlete schedules. So like we all the athletes have their own academic advisor or not like all the athletes have one academic advisor who specializes in that. And basically like when you're making classes for the next semester, he makes sure to like mold it around your practice times. So for me, like my practices are at like 6 or 7 in the morning, right? So and then we have weights sometimes after. And so he was like, okay, yeah, you probably shouldn't have a class that starts before 11. So that makes it a lot easier. And I was like, wow, I'm gonna have so much free time in the morning, but I still don't. But yeah, so I honestly I go to class for a few hours a day. I probably have like two next semester I have like 2 or 3 classes a day, which isn't too bad. And then afterward I have work and then after that I just study and then relax, do homework and stuff like that.
So
So
you have practice, school, work, and um, and being a college kid.
mhm, yep.
Wow. Um, so what does it look like? What does your kind of evening routine look like? What time do you try to go to bed to be able to go to a 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. practice?
So in season, definitely 10 a.m. is when I like to be in bed by and like just winding down. But sometimes it doesn't always happen. Like I have a lot of homework one night or work later. So as long as I'm asleep before 11, I think I'm okay. I really try to prioritize sleep and getting rest, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah, definitely. Um, what are some of the, have you learned anything else about nutrition since you've been running in college? Anything different than what you did in high school from your teammates or your coaches?
Honestly, not a whole lot, but one big thing that our coach tries to push is eating like directly after working out instead of waiting a while so your body can start recovering faster. So he always brings like protein bars, like just a bunch of carbs and protein for us to eat afterward, which I thought was really cool and shows a lot about his character and the effort he puts in too. So
Yeah. Is that something you did in high school, or is that it sounds like that's kind of a new thing you put into your training?
Yeah, like I always knew that it was good to eat directly after and always bring a snack, but I just never did it. Like I never like in the morning when I would go to practice or go out on a run, I'd always be like, okay, like I would never remember to bring food. Like I would think about it like the night before or the day before, but then I'd just completely forget in the morning. It was like, oh, maybe I should have done that. And then I never really cared a whole lot to put in the extra effort to put a snack in my bag or something. So I feel like it definitely helped though.
Makes
100%.
sense. Well, so far in the time you've been running, starting in elementary school and through high school and now in college, you've had a bunch of running memories. Is there anything that has been your favorite so far?
Yeah, for sure. It was just about a month ago actually. I like it was our regional race for cross country and the conditions were not very good and like it was 20 degrees outside and 20-mile-an-hour winds and we were running
Oh,
in the snow. Like the wind chill temperature was 1 degree.
we're
But
just in California.
no, it was in Montana.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know why we're having a regional race in Montana. They're not even in our region. But
Oh my
anyway,
goodness.
that's the point. I like I was kind of just like that mindset that I was talking to you about earlier. Like it's gonna hurt, it's gonna suck, but I just got to push through it and do my thing. And I was able to run although I didn't run an actual 10K all year, I ran a time trial 10K and like in a 33:30. And then at this race, I was able to run it in a 32:30
That's
and
incredible.
get third place on my team, which was the first time I've ever done that. And I was super excited about it. And then another thing that makes it even better is that last year in high school, like my cross country season, I was coming off of a pretty big injury. So my times weren't as good, but towards the end of the season, I started to get a lot better, and my 5K time was like at 16:30, and then I was like, wow, I just ran faster than my PR from last year for like twice in a row with no rest. Like
Wow.
I thought that was pretty crazy.
That's amazing. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. You keep saying this thing around realizing that it's going to hurt and you just kind of do it anyways. And I think that's so impressive. But my sense is it's harder to do that than you make it sound. If you had to give tips to people to kind of adapt that same mentality that it's going to hurt, so just do it anyways, how would you suggest someone work to develop that mindset?
I don't. I don't really know. I kind of just like embrace it, Like, yes, like you got like obviously it's going to hurt, but just embrace that it will, and that's just the sport, Like you have to love it for what it is if you're gonna do it consistently. So I just say embrace the pain and just push through it. And I mean, afterward, you feel a lot better about yourself that you didn't start slowing down because you were scared that you were going to die out. You know what I mean? So as long as you're smart about it, then you'll be fine.
Well said. That's good advice. Spoken like someone who could be a coach. Well, last question here is I know you've been using Peregrine now for a while. Any thoughts about the brand of the product, how it's helped you, anything that you would like to share?
Yeah, of course. I really think that it for sure helps me recover a lot better because I found like when I'm not consistent with it, then like my body doesn't feel as good on my runs and like feel a bit more sluggish. But then when I do take it, I feel like my body has what it needs. And like that's one of the things, like I haven't always been great on nutrition from the foods that I eat. Like I'm not always eating the healthiest. I'm not the healthiest eater, which I probably should change. But Peregrine definitely helps me do that and gives me all the vitamins and stuff that I need to do my best. So
Awesome.
it definitely helps me.
Cool. Well, Chaz, I appreciate your time. Like I said, I know you're a busy man. I've learned now you're a much more busier man than I even thought. So really appreciate you taking the time to chat for a while.
Yeah, of course.